I think people are just comparing apples to oranges when it comes to things. And just because, this person has a 1,800 square foot house listed at $170 a square foot doesn't mean that your 1,800 square foot house can be listed at the same price.
I can't say the word right. If y'all have an electrical panel at your house that either has round fuses or little red and black, really skinny breakers on it, not only are you going to have a problem with loans moving forward, you're going to have a problem with your insurance once they figure it out. It's not pronounced Zinc-Cs, but it's something similar to that. Goes under Sylvania, too. It's just a panel that's part of a class action lawsuit. We'll put a picture of it here. That way you can look at it and oh, my God, dear God, I have to get rid of that.
Yeah.
But that's coming up in every inspection now. And so if you see one floating around your house, you're trying to sell your house, be aware it's going to be a problem.
Right.
And, for inspections and for loans. But anyway, back to the question of how did the mortgage experience help you?
So I think it helps me walk my buyers. My clients, I tend to attract more first-time home buyers.
It's your youthful looks.
Do what?
Your youthful looks from being
around. Is that what that is?
Yeah, I believe your husband, Mike Bell, is just this glow to you from living with him every day.
Yeah, I'm sure. Can you see the gray? So I get a bunch of first-time home buyers, and so I think that having the experience from the mortgage side as a loan processor, they don't understand, or they're just told, okay, they need this, this, and this, but they don't understand why they need it, or they don't. They aren't sure if they're getting the right documentation. So I think by having that previous experience, I can help ease that transition with explaining, okay, don't freak out. They just need a letter of explanation explaining, why this amount was deposited into your account, or, what scenario got you into this position type of deal. And that's what I've experienced a lot, is just a lot of people's anxiety is the fear of the unknown. And when you're applying for $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 loans for one of the biggest purchases of your life, they're just unsure about the whole process. So I think having the experience to back up my explanation kind of makes people feel a little bit more comfortable and more at ease about the process.
Yeah, and a lot of mortgage people agree with me. I believe that most people who think they're going to buy a house, or most people are trying, a lot of them are afraid of the truth. You and I have both seen a lot of couples who are engaged or sort of engaged who want to look at houses but don't want to do it. And it's usually because one of the two doesn't want their credit run or doesn't want to face the truth. But the truth is I like this term. Within 18 months of today, if you work hard, 85% of people could probably get some kind of house, maybe not their dream house, but be able to buy some house without, and I'm not talking paying thousands of debt off a month, just paying the right things off. And the ones that can't probably need to be talking to the same financial counselor about bankruptcy or something. Yeah. Which is rarer than we hear. But even with foreclosures and bankruptcy, it seems like the end of the world. I couldn't imagine that stress. I wouldn't want to put it on anybody. But I think they're either 3 or 5 years away from there to buy a house again. It's not. It used to be like an 8-year. It used to be an 8-year death sentence if you did bankruptcy, and it's not like that anymore.
No, I've actually had clients that were in bankruptcy and still able to purchase a home.
Yeah. So it's a big, the United States government over the last 20 years has made it a huge priority for you to try to buy your first house.
Oh, for sure.
Try to make more. And in Mississippi, it couldn't be easier than anywhere. I mean, USDA loans, you can't make an offer with USDA or VA loan in Atlanta, even on a bad year, because they're just like, oh my God, they're so scared of it. Here, our VA loans were great. You're better than conventional, mainly because most of our military people are active duty here, and they need to keep their cool security clearance to be able to fly a cool plane, so many people are afraid of knowing the truth on the money thing that they sit there forever. And I've met multiple couples who've sat there and could have bought a house 2 years before who were saving up. And there's nothing wrong with putting 20% down.
No.
But there's a lot of people just think they'll never be able to do it, so it comes out of their mind. Or they don't want to talk to the bank. And so I've got a close friend who's talking to Leslie Mackey at Gumtree Mortgage.
Oh, yeah.
Gumtree Mortgage. JTS Gumtree. We're going to say those names here. We want you to go local. Why do we want you to go local? Because good example. I went under contract with someone at the USAA last Monday. I've had 5 different people email me.
Oh, yeah.
2 people about the exact same thing. 2 people who asked me for information that was on the contract, just wasting everyone's time, getting my buyer upset. Like, why haven't you filled this out yet? I'm like, I sent it with the contract. They're just not looking at it. And I said, remember what I told you is that Leslie Mackey, on her way home, she may be stopping at Wines, etc. also, but I think
she should.
But she stops at Kroger. And so I know if I need to put hands on her and yell at her, I can do it. I know that Tyler at JTS goes to Rotary every Tuesday. I saw him today. So, like, I know where to find these people. So when they do have a deal fall apart, like, we're all very well aware of these big banks. When something goes wrong, they email us Friday at 4 o'clock. And then they don't answer their phone. And then they don't answer their phone and they hide because they don't care. They're not losing, they're not sponsoring soccer teams.
Right.
Nobody's going to see them ever again. So anyway, but I forgot why I was on that tangent.
Use local.
Use local people.
Use local.
Yeah, so, yes, and on the mortgage thing, too, so I had a good friend went to Leslie and, thought his credit was completely shot and never do anything. And he's probably less than a year away just with a few moves. And most people have $8,000 credit card debt and they're maxed out, think they need to pay off all $8,000 for a mortgage person to talk to them. And they can a lot of times they'll be like, we'll get it down to half and we can get you this much.
Right. It's just a matter of having that conversation. And I think that that's what scares most people is they don't want to sit down and have that conversation, or they just don't know the right questions to ask. Or sometimes, as humans, we don't like to be rejected. So we have that fear of, oh, well, there's no way I can buy this house. But if you sit down with the right people, and going back to your local thing, I like to be able to sit down face to face with somebody. It's cool to talk to someone on the phone and everything like that, but when you want to know the nitty gritty, like, okay, my goal is to buy a house this year. What do I need to do? And so that you can make yourself like a checklist or whatever it is you need to do. You want to be able to sit down and have that conversation as opposed to communicating with 16 different people via email. And that's why I suggest local people too.
Yeah. Well, it also makes it easier to drop off your W-2 on the way home if you don't have a scanner or something like that. And, that's usually the biggest challenge for when you're talking about first-time home buyers is if they switch jobs a lot, that sort of thing, or switch careers, as I have multiple times in my life. I think I'll stick with this. I don't know if the dancing and on stage in a dress will pay off long term.
You don't think that'll take over?
I don't know. The gentleman maybe give some tips if I head on out to West Point.
You might get some extra sales.
This episode sponsored by the Pink Pony Club in West Point, Mississippi, North Mississippi's premier dancing establishment.
Dear Lord.
I will be in trouble for that one.
Probably.
So your last couple years in real estate, you're widely known in the office as the world record holder. I think you've won 4 Nutcracker awards. We have an award in our office called the Nutcracker when transactions are a little rough and we can't talk in detail about many of them. But can you talk about sometimes the challenges? It's not just first-time home buyers, but all people from a buyer's side, because I know that the Commercial Dispatch newspaper is about to interview and ask you about the very same thing, so we may as well get ready for it. So what are some of the biggest challenges you find with not just from a realtor dealing with, but that people may have as a first-time home buyer?
A lot of times, I guess it depends on their situation, but when you're buying a home, you have to take in a lot of things into consideration. You have to take into consideration your price range and what you feel comfortable with monthly payment-wise. And to kind of be aware of what you can get for that price range. I think one thing is that everyone loves to do is we like to scroll on Zillow and all these other websites and look at $1 million houses and all of that. But we don't all have $1 million budgets, especially me. I don't.
Well, and there's also a big difference between what you're comfortable with and what you can get approved for.
Right.
Because I have a buyer right now who could buy anything. And when I mean anything, I mean $1 million house. And we're looking at $250, and then his wife wants to look at $400. I'm like, you can't go back. Like, you're not going to unsee.
Right.
And that's what's heartbreaking sometimes about people go out before they're pre-approved.
And that's why I try to stress it. It's not, I don't consider it wasting my time if I show you a house. Personally, it's my favorite part of the transaction.
Plus I talked to somebody today about it, and my motto this year has been asking for business, and which sounds crazy to a lot of people, but I had somebody at the Air Force Base today tell me, like, I didn't want to bother you with that little house. And it was like a $140,000 house. And I told him, I said, you never know who I'm going to meet showing it.
Right.
Or doing, like, there's no downside to showing houses. I've just closed on an $8,000 lot. I got a $30,000 house under contract. Like, you never know who you're going to meet there. There's value to it all. And man, especially in the 100, 150, where it's a cute little couple's first house, like that's the juice on that's worth more than any money in the world. So.
Oh, for sure. They appreciate you so much more, I feel like, which I've gotten a lot of appreciation from my clients, but especially the ones where you hear back, well, I didn't even think I could buy a house, and you're about to hand me the keys to my first home, and all of that. I think that really keeps the drive going. It's almost like an adrenaline rush, really.
Yeah, and we don't get it. People don't understand. You don't get it. Like, I have a closing that's happening right now that I don't. Nobody's there.
Cool.
Yeah. I mean, that does sound awesome.
I had that last week.
Yeah, but like what happens a lot in our market because of the Air Force and factory folks who aren't here is a seller. You know, so I've had sellers I've never met who love me and left me good reviews, but they're like, I'm never going to see them again. They're not buying another house in the area, that sort of thing, and that's not unique to Columbus, but there's a pretty high percentage in Columbus and Starkville of almost absentee sellers. Of course, the buyers always want to see the house. It was nerve-wracking during COVID when people were buying houses without seeing them.
Yeah.
And why is it nerve-wracking here versus other markets is because here the houses are average being 28, 30 years old as opposed to 5. So you buy a 5-year-old house, I feel pretty confident. Like, you're going to like it. Yeah. The lights are going to work. You know, it might not have that smell yet.
Up to standards.
Might not have that spell yet. Now, you became a homeowner. I know you lived in another mobile home before, but you became a homeowner how long now? 2.5 years ago?
So we closed on our house in March of 2023.
There you go. Wow, 3 years. Look at this.
Moving on up.
No, that was a big step, right?
It was. It was very exciting. We made it seem like the girls were closing on their house, so they got to sign their little documents, and I gave them a little picture in a frame, and they love it. Now they're ready to buy another one, but they need to slow their roll.
They had to pump the rate.
Yeah.
Well, the slowing their roll in our market, you know, a little bit in Starkville. Starkville's market was up. 2 years ago, it was only up like 2%. Last year, it was back up closer to its normal 6%. And 2 years ago, Columbus was up 10%. Last year, about 3%. Now, the thing dragging all of it down, really the first place we've seen in our market, like the rest of the country, is New Hope was down 23% last year.
Right.
Up in price, but nobody in New Hope is leaving their $200,000 house and buying a $350,000 right now.
Right.
Because they can't double their payment. So, like, every house that gets listed in New Hope's still selling if it's for the right price and it's clean, but there's just people just can't do it. Like, a lot of people, they moved out to New Hope for that first house, and over the previous 20 years would have 5 years later moved. But when the interest rate is 6 and they're all at a 2.1, I'm at a 2.1 at my house. And I live downtown, so my taxes and insurance are more than the actual payment. And so, like, I'm old man, fist in the sky, yelling, "Hey, back in my day, Coca-Cola cost a nickel." But that's what New Hope is full of, and Caledonia's probably going to have that too. The biggest difference in Caledonia is you can get some premium rents.
For sure.
Depending on what the base housing allowance is at Columbus Air Force Base, you can rent out of. It's not always easy to rent out a $300,000 house, but if you have a $300,000 house at 2.2%, and you know you're only paying $1,600 and you get $2,300, then like, you know, I wouldn't rent. The worst rental to have is one. I've said that 3 times this week to clients. I'm like, I was like, I don't want to have one. I had one, I almost got out of it. Now I have 13, and I'm still want to get out of it. But it's.
Well, I have an investor client too, and they keep going back and forth on whether they want to rent or do a flip. And I keep telling them, I said, it just depends on how dedicated you are to it. Because if you're just going to get one rental property, it doesn't make sense. It would make more sense to put that investment into a flip house. But if you're planning to grow it, then it might be worth something long term.
Yeah. Well, like I have a countdown now of 9 of my 13 rentals have roofs that are less than 5 years old, which is great. It keeps the insurance down a little, but the clock's ticking. Like I have an alarm set in my clock. 10 years from now, like first, you know, and 8 of those have new air conditioners too. So like I bought really bad houses and fixed them up. So I know like not only should they be paid off by the time I'm 65, but they'll also need new roofs in it, which means you won't make any money on any rentals for 2 years as you replace stuff, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, you can patch roofs and stuff. People don't. If you drive through the inner city of Columbus, you'll see that people still patch roofs. But Most people, as soon as the roof goes bad, if they've got access to the money, they'll just go ahead and swap it out.
Replace it.
See, my house, and I've talked to Jason Wheeler Roofing. This is like a whole endorsement ceremony.
Jason.
So Jason Wheeler Roofing, Columbus, locally owned and operated on Military Road since 1830 or something.
Yeah,
I'll just make it whenever. He built the fresh roof.
Yep.
Even him. He's 147 years old. That's what I told him. I said, nobody can see my roof. And he's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I sent him a meme from a roofers group.
Yeah.
And it was somebody who'd taken all the samples back from all these roofing conventions and just covered his ranch house with them. So like 50 different colors. I'm like there's nobody. My house is the second highest one in the neighborhood, so nobody can see it. So I'm like, I don't care what it looks like. I was like, I can have a because I probably have a $25,000 roof. And I'm I was like, no, just you could put that truck bed liner on it would be fine by me. So
yeah. I sent Jason's number to somebody today.
Yeah, we're fortunate in town. I told this talk to the dispatch people the other day off the air after my podcast. We're very lucky. Like I've heard of people publicly complain about realtors and unethical realtors. We have really, and I'll have this speech about mainly the ones in our area. 80% of them are very honest, very ethical, good, and capable people, and you can make distinctions between. I think the top 10%, which you're in, is some differences in marketing and personality types and setting expectations is my big thing, and who's going to call you back and that sort of stuff. And even our bottom 10%, there's not people who you just automatically go, well, they're unethical. I mean, like, they are really, some of them aren't educated or whatever in real estate, but like, we don't have many evil, predatory realtors like you hear about in other markets. We're very fortunate of that. And we got just a big real estate association of good, honest folks, and it helps. Like there's the biggest stress in the market over the last 2 years, in my opinion, has been that the buyer, the buyer's agent, the seller, and the seller's agent all have different expectations of reality of what's been going on.
Right.
Because it kind of slowed down so quickly. It's still going fine, but there's plenty of agents who, and Mike Davis, our broker, and I were talking about this the other day, like there's houses in East Columbus starting to hit 200,000.
Yeah.
I've been in the market 12 years. The best house in East Columbus was 120, and it's just, and you can slow your own market down.
Oh, for sure.
And there's people in Starkville right now who are overpricing houses. So like the average day of the market on South Montgomery is way higher than it should be, but it's because everybody's going, well, you can get what you want. Then the house sits for 6 months and it doesn't sell. And then people are like, why didn't it sell? I'm like, well, you were asking. If you go right now in Starkville to look at 350 to 550, at 450, you will see like houses that aren't that great.
Right.
And you'll see amazing new construction houses the same size. And you're like, what?
Yeah.
And that hurts the market, the less educated, and I don't mean educated like where they went to high school or college, just on what's happening in the real estate market.
Right. And I think people are just comparing apples to oranges when it comes to things. And just because, this person has a 1,800 square foot house listed at $170 a square foot doesn't mean that your 1,800 square foot house can be listed at the same price. Speaking of good old Mike Davis, he always says there's 3 things that sell a house, and that's condition, marketing, and pricing. And as long as your realtor is doing the marketing that they're supposed to be doing, that pricing and condition falls on the seller.
Yeah.
So
what we talk about all the time is an affordable house in New Hope or Caledonia, and including Starkville. Starkville had a period of 5 or 6 months last year where like Green Oaks, which is their blue-collar middle-class town, started getting close to 300.
Right.
And people stopped buying. Like if it wasn't fixed up like a flip house, they weren't buying it. Everybody's like, whoa. I'm like, at a certain point, we talk about this in New Hope and Caledonia. You think a $160,000, $170,000 house in Caledonia should sell in 40 seconds. Right. It doesn't, because there's 2 dreams attached when people are like, I want to get out of my position. I want to get out here into a premium school district. 2 things are attached to that. I want that, but I want a nice, clean house. Right. And even though a house might pass a loan, they don't want a beat-up house. Right. They just don't, because it looks just like the rental they just left. Yes. And there's a certain percentage of the population that's part of where I push back on the narrative where people have like, well, 60 years ago, you could buy a house, blah, 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 or 40 years ago is the best. So 40 years ago, the average starter home was a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, 1,080 square foot house. And right now it's 2,100 square feet. So yes, the price is 4 times as much, but you're asking for twice as much house for a starter home. And fortunately in our area, like especially if, for 55, 60%, I figure, of people, the school district isn't the issue.
Right.
Like they may not want to be in a city or a county, but 55% of people don't have school-age kids or are homeschooling or whatever, or private school. So like they just want a nice affordable house, and you can get a really cool house for under $250.
Oh yeah.
In Columbus, Mississippi, and in West Point, great one, and outside of the Starkville city limits.
Right.
I mean, we just had one. Tyler Turner. What's the name of his bouncy house? Kind of TT. Epic bounce houses. Yeah, he uses bounce houses, but he's a very successful realtor also. He just listed one today on Tomlinson for $250,000. And he's going to probably have multiple offers on it.
Oh, he should.
And there are livable houses that I wouldn't let my mother live in there, but I'd let my brother live in East Columbus for that you could purchase for 80, 90 grand. Not a lot of them, but they're ones that pop up. But they're livable houses under 150 grand here. And if you forget it, if you go to cross the Alabama state line or start going south towards Maben and Macon, and like, when you get away from the Golden Triangle area, like if you want to drive 30 minutes, they're perfectly livable houses. You can get a house with a new roof, decent air conditioning for 120 grand. You know,
the price difference between Caledonia and Vernon, which I mean, literally is just separated by a state line, is just insane. The price per square footage. I mean, I remember back in my day, you know, you were somebody if you could afford a $250,000 house in Caledonia. And now, I mean, they might start at $250,000.
Yeah. But there's also counterintuitive things that people don't understand. Like I had somebody who I was showing a house near where you live or looking at a listing where you live. She's right off of Ridge Road in Jolly. And there's a neighborhood there that's bifurcated, I like to use that word, or split in half by the Caledonia School District and the city, and the prices are pretty drastic between the two. But, like, I called it Caledonia. She's like, well, it's not actually Caledonia. I'm like, all that matters is it's Caledonia. And I said, but what's interesting is you can talk to every agent that has had a house on Main Street in Caledonia. It doesn't sell as well. You could put that same house and put it a little further out in the country and people would eat it up. There is something about living in the actual downtown of Caledonia that you would think everybody would be like, oh, it's so cute and romantic and all that. And they're just like, people like, So.
And it is. In downtown Caledonia, it's got that cute little, you know, old school town.
Yeah, but you would think at this point that it would be Ocean Springs, and it just hadn't. You know why? I mean, there's just not enough stuff to do.
Right.
And God bless the people who own the little
the cafe.
Portable buildings with the little things and stuff, and the
Dewey's
and Bully's Meat Market. We're full of endorsements today.
For real.
But like, I mean, it's just not enough for a lot of people up there, especially the big city people who come from the base.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of them end up in North Columbus, you know. Plus they're only here for a little while, so you got a huge homeschool population. So.
Right.
Of course, now people from the Air Force Base, active duty, can send their kid to any school they want.
Yeah.
But the downside of that, and the reason more aren't taking care of it, is once your kids are doing sports, it doesn't matter.
Right.
Like, as you know, you're driving all over the world once they start doing dance and sport.
Oh, literally, all 4 girls are playing softball this year. And
are they on the RE/MAX softball team?
Yes, we have 2 RE/MAX softball teams, and we have 2 McCreary Construction Services softball
That's where her
teams.
husband, if you want to give a plug for McCreary West Construction Services.
Oh, yes. The McCrearys are awesome.
Yeah.
Call Mike Bell for a free estimate. But they sponsored the older 2 girls, and RE/MAX is sponsoring the younger 2. So
that's win-win.
Yeah, for sure.
Didn't they win the whole thing last year, or they were good? I don't know if they won the whole thing.
So Aylin, our oldest, her team was a RE/MAX team, and they won the championship for the 8U. So
pretty good.
Yep.
It's that RE/MAX red and blue coming through.
It is number 1 in everything.
That sounds completely reasonable and not biased whatsoever.
No.
So am I correct that you were on the Greater Golden Triangle Association of Realtors? What's it called? The
Community Service Committee. Community Service Committee.
So talk about some of the things y'all have done. I knew they had a 5K for the Dream Center that happened last year.
Yes. So
I was there.
Were you?
I didn't run or anything. I was just there.
Okay.
I brought my car. That was my epic support of the situation.
Gotcha. Well, the car drives a lot of attention.
Yes, and y'all did a bed build for them.
Yes.
For the Dream Center.
Yep. We raised over $9,000 for the Dream Center, which is amazing because you don't really realize how many kids are out there without a bed to sleep in. Just something that a lot of people take for granted, and you just don't know it's out there. We also raised money playing pickleball. This year we're working on couple different events that we're still trying to get ironed out. Instead of doing the 5K for the Dream Center, I think we're going to start collecting like sheets and pillows and comforters and stuff like that. And the really cool thing is instead of building them this time, we're going to actually go help deliver them and set them up.
Yeah, and that's a life-changing experience.
Yeah.
So I love telling the story. So I was at the table when John Allman, who started the Golden Triangle Dream Center, brought up his idea, I think in 2018 at a the Create Foundation is based out of Northeast Mississippi, but they've opened up a Lowndes County community chapter, and that was the sort of meeting for that. And he brought that up. You're in a room full of dreamers. Like these are optimistic, public service, servant-oriented people, community service thing. And I'm at his table, and we're looking around the table like, you're gonna start a. By the way, this is the smallest dream center by like 8-fold. Meaning there's one in Houston, there's one in Los Angeles. Like they're normally these big community centers where kids can go to eat and play and do stuff, and then the bed builds is his particular ministry of it. But I think he's over 1,000 beds, well over 1,000 beds that have been placed. And he said he never runs out of people who need beds, and that means these are kids who are under 15 years old. In Columbus and Starkville and West Point, Mississippi, who need beds, who are sleeping on the floor or sleeping on not on a mattress on the ground or whatever.
Right.
And they have bed builds every other week or so, and they hand build the beds. And so it's a great thing if you're looking for charity work for your thing. But when he brought it up, I'm like, this is an insane goal. Besides he's feeding hundreds of people every week. He started a food bank thing, just doing a phenomenal job. And in case you didn't know, you can pay, it started 2 years ago. You can, if you have property tax, commercial taxes. So if you own a big factory, if you own, Bill Russell at Premier Ford did it last year, paid instead of giving you can donate your money in taxes. You have to let them fill out some forms, but you donate your property tax to them. The state of Mississippi reimburses the local taxing authority. So if all my rental properties together had $14,000 of taxes on them, I could give that $14,000 to the Dream Center or another organization, and then the county gets the money too. So
it's a
there's
win-win.
a win-win. So if you own a big piece of commercial property in your rentals, you should think of that, because it doesn't affect your taxes one way or the other, but it gives the Dream Center $15,000 or whatever that they wouldn't have had.
And it changes a lot of lives too. Like it affects a lot more people. You would think with Columbus, we're not a huge city, like Austin or Dallas or anything, by no means, but you would think that we wouldn't have that big of an issue around here, but we do.
No, and delivering those beds, like I said, it's something else. And they're opening more ministries where they're having like block parties and that sort of stuff. I know in the past, with Rebecca Swain involved, they did Habitat for Humanity work several times. So I'm glad you'll have a community building, or what's the name of it again? Community
Service Committee.
It's not that complicated. I made it more complicated.
It's a little bit of a tongue twister.
Yep.
But we're also supposed to be working on something some way for us to give back to our first responders, like our policemen, our fire department, stuff like that. We have something like that in the works too. So I think that'll be really good.
There you go. And can you talk a little bit back to being a realtor about your experience? You did leadership MAR, is that correct?
I did.
The Mississippi Association of Realtors has a leadership class, which some people are familiar with, like a Chamber of Commerce had one, our Link group had one at one point. The whole Golden Triangle had a Golden Triangle leadership thing that kind of fell apart at the tail end of COVID. Where they take you, if it's here, they take you to the factories, take you to the newspaper. That's 1 month. The next month you go down to Jackson, that sort of thing. So talk about some of your experiences with that.
So I was part of the LMAR class of 2024, best class ever. It sounds almost like a cult, but it's not. They just keep things very secretive. And I think that kind of adds to the excitement of being a part of pretty much kind of like a newfound family. So what they do is they pick about anywhere from 10 to 12 different realtors across the entire state of Mississippi. We all get together at Realtor Day at the Capitol, and we start our class work there. And they take us to different locations around the state. I think you go like once every 2 months. You go to a different location and you do different types of like community service work, and you take different classes and stuff like that, just to kind of reconnect and network with agents throughout the state. And you can compare, what your market's like to the people on the coast or up in South Haven or something like that. And you really just grow as a person. And then towards the end of it, you're like a family.
That's awesome.
It is.
So, what do you have going on now in the real estate world? How many contracts are you working on? How many people are you dealing with?
I currently have 7 transactions pending.
I'd like to stop that real quick and note that this may not be official as of this year, but the average realtor in the United States does 7 deals a year.
Oh.
Yes. So she has 7 going on right now.
Yeah. I closed on one yesterday, and I've got 7 more that I'm still trying to get to the closing table. So we're just working through those processes and getting things done that need to be done. I have a couple buyers that I'm working with that we're trying to find the right place so we can get them under contract and into their new homes. And that's pretty much what I'm juggling at the moment.
And how many kids again? 37 kids.
Yeah.
Why don't you
42?
say something about give each girl's name and say something nice about them, because they're going to hear this.
Okay.
I'm sure you'll play it for them.
So Aylin is my oldest, and she's kind of like my best friend. Like, she's the one that I can sit there and talk to and just be like, okay, how's your day? What happened? Okay, why'd you do that? Should you be doing that? That sort of thing. And she's 10 years old. She is the champion softball player. Kendall is 7, and she is my sweetheart. She is tender-hearted and my sweet, sweet Kendall. She's playing softball, too, for McCreary Construction Services. And then we have Parker, who is a girl, by the way. She is 5. And in my opinion, she's the only one that looks like me. So, she's my little mini-me, but acts 100% like her daddy. And she's playing softball for Remax. And then
5-year-olds play softball?
Well, it's considered wee ball. Yeah,
all right.
Wee ball.
Go on.
And then Mackenzie, who we call Mac, is 100% her daddy. Looks, attitude, everything. And she's playing T-ball, which is different from wee ball.
I believe you.
And she's on the Remax team, too.
There you go. And let's talk about, I know this is part of a greater, like maybe from Leadership MAR, maybe from your charitable endeavors or something, but where did you adopt this Michael guy from? Was this some sort of special needs outreach? Was he just on the side of the road?
I believe in my community service. No. I met Mike in 2017, and at first I just thought we would not be a good match, because if you know us, we are complete and total opposites. But apparently opposites attract, and we have been side by side, hand in hand ever since.
He's a big lunk of a man. He does concrete work. Well, now he's sort of like a supervisor, right?
He is. He's the operations manager at McCreary Construction Services. He's been there since like 2012. So he cuts concrete, he drills holes, he removes it, he did all 3 of those things at my clubhouse, and yeah,
I had a big hole in my concrete floor that he patched for me. So.
Mm-hmm. He can do it all. He's a jack of all trades.
Is he a good girl mom?
Oh,
a girl dad, I mean?
Well, girl dad, yeah. Oh, for sure. He's very playful with them. He jokes with them. His big, loud personality, and he keeps them laughing. He keeps them entertained, and I'll never forget when Aylin and Kendall first started cheerleading. I'm not a cheerleader. I never have been. I don't even know how I ended up with so many girls, because I was the most tomboy I think there could have been. But he was the one out there on the field learning the cheers and doing the cheers with them and the dances, and he'll dance with them in the kitchen and everything like that.
Well, good deal. All right. So if people want to call you, what do they need to know? And what's your number? Give them all that information on how to reach out to you about buying or selling a house. Not about softball, not about painting your husband's toenails pink.
Which we've done before.
Yes.
Okay. So my name, according to Parker Bell, is Jessica Bell with RE/MAX Partners. And if they want to call me or text me, my number is 662-364-8186.
Good deal. All right. Thanks for coming on the show. I told you the time would fly by.
I know.
Good deal.
I know. Thanks.
All right.
Thanks for having me.
Bye.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to the podcast. My name is Colin Krieger and my day job is real estate. If you're looking to buy or sell, I'd love to talk to you. Or if you just want to sit and talk real estate in a no pressure situation, I'd love to help you. I work with RE/MAX Partners in Starkville, Columbus, and West Point, Mississippi. I can help you find an agent anywhere in Mississippi or anywhere in the country. Just reach out to our office at 662-327-7705 or find me anywhere when you type in 662-329-SOLD.